What's up, AG?
What's up, the real?
Hey, man, listen, first of all, we just blessed right now, man. I mean,
Mhm.
we've been hitting it lately, man. We ain't been having nothing but hitters on the show. And
Yes.
today, listen, I'm just going to put it out there. We got somebody, man. First of all, he's obsessed.
Yeah.
Obsessed. If people know what that word means, that means he can't get enough of it.
Yep.
He's obsessed with storytelling. But on top of that, he is the co-founder of the Obsessive Sneaker Disorder. For all the folks out there lying to themselves, y'all need to hear this episode because y'all do got some sneaker disorders out there. If you got to hide your shoes to before your wife or your girlfriend or your significant other, you got a disorder. But yet, this brother's so smooth, man. He grew up in the U.S. Virgin Islands. He's rooted deeply in his family, in his community. But on top of that, man, this brother has so many skills. Not only is it about storytelling, but the passion grows into photography, filmmaking. He's worked with some of the best in the world. But his true heart lies in what's on your feet, the footwear. He's had the industry with such as Adidas, Converse, Nike, New Balance, and Reebok. But on top of all of that, man, he is the co-founder of the SOLEcial Studies Community Academy, where he's teaching anyone who has that type of passion and that desire to learn about footwear who wants to get in the game.
Yep.
They have it for you. We want to welcome to the show none other than Dee Wells. My brother, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and so good to be here. Man, it's like I said, off air before we began. I feel like I know y'all because it's been so long. But more importantly, for me watching the show, thank you for having not only my brother in arms, co-partner, confidant, ride or die, Sean Paper Chaser Williams as a guest on the show. But I'm glad to be here with you to talk sneakers, art, culture, music, of course, sports. And are there industry plants in sneakers and maybe music? Maybe.
Hey,
Maybe.
hey, hey,
Hey,
D. Hey,
Yeah.
man, the thrill just gave you so many things that you do, man. We just gonna call you the Virgin Island Swiss
The Swiss
Army
Army?
knife. Like, you just come out with everything, bro. Like, you got everything in that Swiss Army knife.
I always say this. As black and brown people, and especially people, who grew up, in terms of in the Caribbean, we never had one job. We never just did one thing. We've always done multiple things. And
There you go.
I'm truly a product of where I was born and raised in the Virgin Islands, born in St. Thomas, grew up on St. John. St. John is the smaller of the four islands. So there's St. Thomas, St. John, St. Croix, and Water Island. St. John is really small, 3,000 people. Um, Everyone knows everyone. It's that village mentality. So I had a lot of, aunties and uncles, cousin them, like that's your cousin them. So you never knew what girl you were trying to talk to because you might
Two,
find out later.
it's your
That was your
cousin.
cousin them. I always had to check with the family, like, okay, are we related or not?
that's right.
So,
That's right.
yeah.
So you say them barbecue joints was different back in the
It
day,
was
huh?
very different. We went
Right?
to the beach, man. We went to, I grew up going to Hawks Nest and Trunk Bay and Cinnamon Bay. All the beaches were like the move, especially on a Sunday after you went to church and you did that. And by the afternoon, by like 1, 2 o'clock, you're on the beach. You ready? You barbecuing, playing touch football or tackle football on the beach because we were just crazy, crazy kids like that. And yeah, like. It was warm all year round. Like I didn't realize how good I had it. But when I
You
started
know, I was just
traveling,
getting ready to say that
you
too,
know,
man. I was gonna say, man, it looked like you grew up like
I commuted. I tell people I commuted, and some people took took a train or a school bus to go to school. I commuted by boat from one island to the next, a 20-minute ferry boat ride every day. Like, but that was my
Wow.
normal. Like that was my normal. And then again, when I left and got to travel and visit family in Chicago, visit family in New York City, visit family in Florida, then I realized how different truly the Virgin Islands and the Caribbean are because you get to bounce around. Like we used to go shopping. Like for me to get and I know we're gonna talk about this on the show, but for me to buy sneakers, I used to have to leave. So what did I do? I'd fly to Puerto Rico Like literally it costs $100 to fly from St. Thomas to Puerto Rico, go to the malls, hit Athlete's Foot Locker, all the mom and pops, shop for the day and fly back. And that was like the move. That was the thing. Like,
What?
yeah, right?
That's
And when I think
crazy.
about that, I'm like, I really was obsessed with these damn sneakers at a young age, and I was willing to do whatever for them.
And, and
Yeah.
and actually, man, that's one of the questions I want to ask you, man. This is for all the sneakerheads. Is there a difference between a sneakerhead and an obsessed passion?
Oh man. Um, I probably back in the day I would have said no, there wasn't a difference, but now there is because there's a lot of sneakers who jump into into the culture because they just want to make some money and take from it. Whereas
Yep.
when you're obsessed with it and you just live and breathe it, it's not yeah, it's the sneakers that bring us together. Like we can sit and talk about, all the different sneakers we've had over our lifetime thus far. And that brings us together. But then we're going to talk about all the other stuff. We're going to talk about our families. We're going to talk about children. We're going to talk about grandchildren even, or whatever. And that's the piece that's different with the obsessed, person that I am. It's about the community. Like that's why
Mm.
the community, Social Studies Community Academy exists. Because it's always about the people. It's not just about at some point, the sneakers are going to disintegrate. Like I was pulling out some Nike Air Alpha Forces from 1988 out of my closet, and they're just
Mm.
crumbling, and I'm like, they're gonna turn to dust, so I can't handle them a lot, right? But more
Right.
importantly, I could talk to y'all, and we could talk about sneakers. We could talk about hunting. What was it like to get a fresh pair and wear them on the court, wear them at school, and then like your boys be like, "Yo, what are those?" Or those are fresh. Like, I see you. Like, even someone you didn't know give you that look and give you that nod. You're official. Like that made you
Oh, it was a
Mhm.
representation. It was a huge representation.
absolutely. So there is a difference now. I mean, a lot of people jump into the sneaker thing because they're like, "Oh, I just want to buy and flip and make some money," and I'm like, "Cool, do your thing." I'd rather
Yeah.
someone flip sneakers than flip weed or cocaine or do some other illegal type stuff. Like
Yep.
I
Yep.
know kids that go to thrift stores, they know what to look for, they're buying sneakers, they're cleaning them up, changing laces, and then selling them on, eBay, Facebook Marketplace, Instagram, or wherever. Great. Do that. I actually support that. But also know there's a history behind, right? There's design, there's influence, there's someone took inspiration from something to design that sneaker or that product. So just like we have our smartphones or a pen, a backpack, music is inspiration
Yep.
all around us.
So D, let me throw you this, man, before we start talking specifically about
Yeah.
certain kicks. I want to let's jump this off with some myth busters.
Ooh, okay. There's a lot.
Do gym shoes make you run faster and jump higher? I'm just saying, but let's just jump into it. Do they make you run faster and jump higher?
Man, that's such a great question. Okay. The 8-year-old version of D, you couldn't tell me they didn't. Man, you give me a pair of kangaroos, a pair
Oh.
of Etonics, anything anything besides the Tom McCann, the Bata shoes, sneakers, those made me run or jump higher. Like, I'll give you an example. I used to play in some Tom McCann basketball sneakers in the Tom McCann 3-on-3 tournament. And when when I switched to name brand back in the day, I
Yeah.
thought I could run, jump, rebound, all that better. But they did the same thing. But, nowadays, all that's old school stuff. It's amazing how everything comes full circle, right? Like, I look at some of the brands like Diodora, Alessi. I
Mm-hmm.
was just looking at I don't know why, it must have been, I went down a rabbit hole looking at some Wilson Sporting Goods website and their tennis and apparel. And I was like, Wilson's been around for so long in the world of
Yeah.
tennis, but they actually made basketball sneakers too, right? And people know them for, tennis is really the big sport, but nonetheless. So yeah, that's one myth buster for sure. But I mean, even the sneaker like this, like a Converse, this is a Converse weapon. This is the EVO. This is a newer version. You know, like this sneaker, the Converse weapon campaign, Magic and Bird. I mean, choose your weapon, and then they came out with
Yeah.
this version. You know, and I think this was like around 2000. Let me see the date on these bad boys. You know, I'm doing this in real time. I think this was 2008. These came out,
Wow.
right? So this was their EVO version, and this was the Celtics, right? This was for the Bird. This is for the Celtics that wore black during the playoffs, stuff like that. The other ones back there on the box, right? And then of course, you had Magic doing his thing with the Lakers colorway. So what's
The
another one you
weapons,
want to
baby.
kind of debunk now? Come on.
The other one is
I look how he starts laughing before he even says it.
Look at this guy.
hey, listen, I'm going back to our grade school.
Okay.
Here's the other one. Did brand new shoes, brand new kicks, did it get you favor with the ladies?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, influenced by Slick Rick, Dougie Fresh, the whole Get Fresh crew out of New York City. Like, Bally shoes were big in the Caribbean, too. Just the Clarks. Clark's another brand, big, big throughout all the islands. So you go from the Bahamas to St. Martin, St. Kitts Nevis. People, of course, Jamaica, people were wearing Clark's. But I would switch my shoes. But the ladies were always watching. And then we had this thing called, and again, I think about the things we say as Caribbean people. We had a thing called Free Clothes Day. So Free Clothes Day was when you got to wear anything you wanted because maybe our basketball team won a big game or the mathematics team, did well in place. So our principal would give us Free Clothes Day, which meant we could wear anything we wanted. So that was your day to start. That was like if I knew today that Free Clothes Day was on Friday, I was preparing all week. I was prepping.
Yeah.
I had my outfit. I knew I was gonna iron my shirt. Maybe it was a Le Tigre shirt. Maybe it was a polo. Maybe it was a lumberjack. But I had to have it pressed. You had to have the line, the Lee jeans, starched, heavy, socks, the belt, the fat laces, and the Pumas. Oh, it was a whole outfit architecture. Shout out to Dallas Penn. Like I was doing that. I had to. Like because
And you got to answer this final myth buster, man.
uh,
This is, and I think this is the ultimate because I actually believe that it did. Do you think gym shoes, brand new kicks, make you play better?
yes, they do. Except for I'll never forget wearing the Air Flight 90 white on white on. Oh man, I can remember that. I could see where the court is. I was playing in Brooklyn. This is one summer. I had these brand new, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna rock them and play in this little this pickup game. I came down somebody's foot and twisted my ankle. I tightened those bad boys up as much. Finished the game though, but man, those sneakers never saw the court again. I never played. I never played in them again because they were bad luck to me now. Like I'm not gonna lie, like they were new. I had broken them in the first time playing them, and I twisted my ankle, and I was playing a good ass game too. Like man, actually right up the block from Spike Lee's Spike's Joints store off of, in Brooklyn in Fort Greene. I was like, man, yeah. But
So in other words, it started off that way.
it started off that way, but after I sprained that ankle, those kicks, those became the like they were white and white, so I could wear them with anything. So I just wore them casually, but I never played in them again. I was a little heated. I'm not gonna lie.
You know what? I thought that was my last question for the Mythbuster, but I gotta ask this one. Is it a no-no to wear Nike shoes, Adidas shorts, Puma socks? I just gotta. Can you cross-brand your gear? I just gotta ask.
Sean and I have had this conversation on the OSD podcast. This new generation, I'm Generation X. This new millennial and all that, they cross brands like that. That's a no-no in my book. Like you would never catch me wearing Adidas sneakers and wearing Nike socks. Even if I was wearing long pants, you still wouldn't no,
You say even if they
no.
couldn't see him.
Even if you could have, I know. You no. Mm-mm. So like now when I go out in public, I'm always watching. I'm always people watching. I'm nosy like that. I like to observe people. I always look at the brands that people are wearing. So yeah, when that trend started, probably like I don't know, like around probably like 2006, 2007, where the Adidas track pants with like Jordan sneakers, I was like, is this real? Is this what we doing now? But hey, to each their own. If that's what you want to do, God
Do you
bless you.
find that more with gym shoe brands than you do with anything else?
Yes, because like if you talk about like let's say like the luxury brands, so-called luxury brands, right? Because all that stuff is we're learning a lot more of how stuff is made because of these tariffs and whatnot. So like yeah, you would see someone mix and match maybe a little Gucci with a little Ferragamo or something like that, right?
I'm gonna bring it
So
a little closer. I'm gonna bring it a little closer for you. I'm going
okay,
to the '90s for you.
okay.
Can you wear Carl Kanai with FUBU?
I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I mean, that's like wearing cross colors with coconut or fubu or like I mean like let's think about it. Grand Puba from Brand Nubian was like one of the first cats I always remember to pull off low with like Timberland, even Tommy when Tommy Hilfiger came on the scene. But Puba was like an iconic, fashion. People don't give him his props, but like you think about how he dressed and how many people he influenced. Like music videos. You talk about UMTV raps and stuff like that. But like, yeah, when you talk about these brands and mixing and matching like that, some of that stuff I just can't get with, man. I really, really can't. I mean, I'm low key with it. I believe in this thing called inconspicuous consumption. So you don't have to have loud, logos all over, but just a simple little hit. Maybe it's on the sleeve, or maybe it's right here on your neck or something. Like, if you know, right? That's what's become really popular I would say over the past 2 decades. Kind of like quiet luxuries become really popular, especially when it comes to sneakers. Like you have these brands that are going into making sneakers that never even cared about sneaker culture. Like I remember when Gucci made Gucci tennis sneakers back in the day. Like that was
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
a rarity, right? And only certain people wore them, right? Like either doctors, lawyers, or it was the dope boys, drug dealers, right? They wanted to be different. Same thing like New Balance. When New Balance dropped the 990, which was $100 running sneaker, who's paying $100 for a running sneaker? Like that was crazy. That was unheard of, right? Again, only certain people, true runners, people who are running half marathons or marathons, weekend warriors, they're the ones buying the New Balance, 990 for $100. And now we have basketball sneakers that are 200, 220, 225 or more, which again, we know, we can do our homework. We have this thing called the internet. We can figure out how much it really costs to make a pair of sneakers. So why is the retail price so high, right? So, yeah, man,
Well, let's jump into this. Let's jump into the gym shoe brand deal.
yeah,
Let's take it back to the '70s. You had obviously Adidas, you had Converse, Pro Kids,
yep,
Puma. Gotta give Walt Clyde Frazier some love out there.
lots of love, yeah,
But in that day and age, the attraction wasn't with the athlete like it
mm,
is now.
right,
What was that transition
mm,
that that pushed it forward like that? Because even though I saw Dr. J, I wanted some docs, but I didn't know if I wanted Docs to be like Doc.
Gotcha. That's a good question, because I think once games started being broadcast and not on tape delay, and we got to actually see games, like growing up in the VI, we didn't have cable television till really 1984. So any games that I saw were tape delayed, and they were literally broadcasts coming over from Puerto Rico. But we would listen to the games. Like, I grew up listening. That's why I have such an appreciation for podcasting, for audio, for music, because I grew up listening to basketball and baseball games with my father and my grandfather, particularly. And they were diehard Yankee fans. So that was, I would imagine what these players look like. And then eventually, when I go and see the newspaper, I got to put a face with the name, right? The real kind of crossover took place once, games were no longer tape delayed, they were actually broadcast. More and more sports writers started actually writing about the players, not just what they did on their, in their respective sport, on the field, on the court, but what they did off the court, right? We wanted to know, what were they like off the court? What did they like? What did they eat? What do they do for fun? What kind of car do they drive? What other clothes do? I mean, Clyde Frazier, we got to see him finally when we would, this is well before tunnel walks and tunnel cameras and all that, but like, he was always fly. Like, talk about one of the flyest dressers still to this day. Like, one of the dudes with the fur, the Rolls Royce. I mean, you even look at Dr. J, some of the early Sports Illustrated, issues. When he wasn't in his uniform, he was in a suit. He was clean, right? Like that. That was the crossover. And then eventually, you start seeing the games televised, and you're like, "Ooh, I want to be like," right? I'm emulating who this athlete is. I'm emulating this basketball, this football player, this tennis player. Like, my introduction to footwear and really sneakers came from my parents playing tennis in St. Thomas.
Gotcha.
And they were wearing Adidas Rod Lavers and Stan Smiths. Like, I always will remember that. It was then College of the Virgin Islands in St. Thomas. Now it's the University of Virgin Islands, St. Thomas. And my father, I'll never forget, there was a small clip of Arthur Ashe. And this is when Arthur Ashe, again, a black and white TV, but he looked like us. He looked like me. I could look at him and say, man, this guy is playing on this court and he makes it look so good. And he's not trying to be he's not trying to be over flashy, do all the antics, unlike other players like McEnroe, Yvonne Lendl, Boris Becker, all those other players that I eventually got to know. But there was something about how classy he was. And then I saw a little brand on his shirt and didn't know what it was. Come to find out, it was Lecoq Sportif, right? A French brand. A black man wearing a French brand. And I was like, okay. And then fast forward, then you learn about Yannick Noah, again, another cat wearing Lecoq Sportif. Fast forward many moons later, who brings and introduces the brand to the hip-hop community? Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. Lecoq Sportif sweats. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Tennis crossed over into the streets, into the hood. Like, you in Chicago, in New York City, in Miami, in the Carolinas, took the brands that you saw these athletes wearing, and now you made them, like, you made it fresh, you made it fly. We always put our spin on everything. Like, I tell people all the time, everything in this world is rooted in hip hop. Like, you can't deny it. Like, I'll point, you say something, you say a lyric, or you say even a phrase, there's a song about it. Someone spit a verse first, and it relates to this world, and we can all connect about it. It doesn't matter the color of our skin, whatever. Like, I love when people watch videos and they're like, how is this, quote unquote, this white female know, I saw this the other day. She was talking about Mary J. Blige and Method Man with the Biggie sample, You're All I Need, right? And she was like, well, I graduated high school. She was like saying this. She was like, I graduated high school in 1995. I went to college. I got to meet people who were not like me, particularly black people. And guess what song were they listening to? Hip hop and R&B. This is a woman probably what, late 40s, and she's like rapping along word for word. And I was like, yes, that's it. Like, I still hear that song today. You're all I need. I mean, come on. Like, we can remember that video, like the grittiness, the color correction that they did on it, that Biggie sample. I mean, yeah, I could talk.
But but
Again.
but that still doesn't explain. I see where you're going.
Yeah,
So let's move it into the 80s because, like you say, it does go to, we live TV now.
yeah,
But I saw Magic.
yeah.
I saw Isaiah. I don't know if we still like AG didn't want to be Isaiah because of the shoes he wore. He wore Isaiah because Isaiah was Chicago, West Side.
Yes.
Yeah. I saw Magic because I was like, man, the way he passed. We saw Bird because of the way he shot.
Right.
We wasn't really looking at gym shoes. When did that transition happen?
Well, I think for everyone there's a moment in time, there's a touch point. I don't know when it was for you. I mean, I was looking at shoes since 1979. So when I did see Magic and Bird, Dr. J, Moses Malone, Chocolate Thunder, Earl the Pearl, Monroe, and all these players, I mean, I was always looking at how they played, but then also what they were wearing. So if they're wearing Pumas, if they're wearing Pro-Keds, if they're wearing Converse, like.
But would you say back then, though, there was nothing necessarily distinctive about the shoe? Because a lot of the shoes kind of hide the same look to it, especially basketball shoes.
Right. You're very true.
There was thin uppers and thick soles.
Yep, it's true. I mean, when you look at the Pro-Keds, you look at the Converse, of course. The Converse Chuck Taylor. There was nothing fancy about them, but it was also what the player who was wearing them, what they were doing, especially in basketball. Their style of play. Like, I never got to see Bill Russell play. I've only seen highlight tapes or old video or film, but I still say, how did he play in those Chuck Taylors? Because there's no support in those bad. I try to wear Chuck Taylors even casually. My feet hurt after about 25 minutes, man. I got to take them off. I'm not even in the front. So the thing, you look at Will Chamberlain. You think of people like Bob Cousy. I grew up paying attention to the Celtics and the Lakers. Those are the two teams. Well, it was either from the Virgin Islands, either the Celtics, Lakers, or Knicks. That seemed like everyone in the Virgin Islands. Those are the only teams. And then once cable television came online, broadcast, of course, ESPN was a game changer. I used to stay up late and to watch college basketball games. I would sneak. My parents would be sleeping. I would sneak and turn the volume way, way down and get to watch these games. I mean, I'm watching, Syracuse back in the day. I'm watching UNLV, of course, all of that, and watching not only how they're playing, but what they're wearing, trying to figure out what brands. And then finally, once things started changing with the 80s, with television and print media, newspapers, sporting magazines, of course, Sports Illustrated, Sporting News, even, U.S. and World News Report. Every once in a while, you'd see an article, or I would see an article in there about a particular athlete or person, and you'd, look at it. And for me, I'd look at what they're wearing, and then look at their feet, look at what their sneakers were. I was always doing that. Like, maybe it was Puma. Eventually, when Nike came on the scene, like, it was a game changer. But music, sports, TV broadcast really was a game changer for sneaker culture. Like, we got to see it. And then fast forward all throughout the 80s, when you had like MTV, BET, in New York, when I traveled to New York City and hang out with my family in the Bronx or wherever, Video Music Box, Ralph McDaniels, like, his putting music videos well before, he was doing it before MTV existed. Again, watching what the rappers were wearing, the brands, some brands I didn't even know how to pronounce, but they introduced me to not only the brand, but also gave me a snapshot of what New York was about, what other boroughs are like. because the first bar I went to was the Bronx, because that's where all my family lived from the Caribbean.
Speaking of the 80s, when we're in the Converse era, why wasn't Dr. J in the Weapons commercial?
Oh, man.
Because if we doing a timeline now,
Yeah.
the Weapons commercial hit in '86.
Yeah.
Dr. J was already wearing the Converse Pro high top leather joints,
And he was the face.
He was the face of the brand.
And he was the face.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what happened between '84 to '86 when they developed the Weapon and Dr. J not in that commercial?
That's such a good question, but I think for me, it's about he was already wearing the pro leather. The Converse really wanted to create a stable of athletes, and we eventually saw that, right? So yeah, they had the Converse Weapon, but then you think about players like, oh man, you think about those iconic commercials from Converse, the Choose Your Weapon campaign. They wanted a stable of athletes, and they didn't just want one person to stand out, even though we know they put Bird and Magic as the kind of, pitting against each other. And that's psychological. That was, French Lick, Indiana, Michigan, white, black. Champion, gregarious, fun, point guard that broke the mold. And Larry Bird was going to be, quote unquote, the savior for the NBA, because the NBA was at that point where there was a lot of drug usage. There were too many fights. And the league at the time, no one will ever say this publicly, but the league was becoming so black that the people didn't like it, that it was turning fans off, right? Iconic teams like the Celtics, again, not to harp on them, but they were the first team to put an all-black starting five on the court. They were the first team to hire a black man as head coach, not only a head coach, but a player coach. And again, the GOAT, the true GOAT to me, Bill Russell. He's got
and we just got to say this too. We're talking about Boston.
We're talking about Boston. Boston has never been able to, and I lived in New England, and specifically the Boston area, for more than 2 decades. Boston has never been able to shake the racist tags that it got from the 70s for the whole Metco busing fiasco, where they were busing kids from Dorchester, Roxbury out to the suburbs, and basically kids from the suburbs into Dorchester, Roxbury, these family black, Hispanic neighborhoods. That whole, and that iconic photo of the cat being stabbed in the stomach on, City Plaza with the American flag, like that to this day, that's burned into people's brains. I mean, the stuff that, again, Bill Russell had to face, both Dr. Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott King, when they lived in Boston, when he was getting his PhD at Boston University. You think about all the things that have happened. But one thing about Boston, I will say, is it's a great place to visit. There's a lot of history there. It's a sports town. There's no denying that. But Boston, I didn't know. I'll give you all a quick story. I'm going home with one of my friends, classmates who I met, who lived in Dorchester. This is our first year of college. And I'm like, I wanted to go to Dorchester and Roxbury, because I had only learned about it from Ed O.G. and the Bulldogs and got to have a music video. I'm wearing Nike sneakers. He's like, D, you can't wear those. I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, you can't wear those in my hood. He goes, we're a 3-stripe city. I'm like, 3-stripe city? He goes, yeah, we only rock Adidas in Boston. If you wear those Nikes, we're going to have some beef. And we're probably going to have to fight some cats. So I'm like, are you serious, Paul? He's like, yeah. So I took the Bo Jackson trainers that I was wearing. This is the Raiders colorway. I'll never forget them. Air Trainer SCs, the 34 in the back. Put on my Adidas Superstars, which were not as comfortable, but nonetheless, I didn't, went to Boston, Dorchester, Roxbury, Jamaica Plain, all that. Even went to Downtown Crossing, which is like the mecca where Macy's, Filene's Basement, it's basically where all the shopping takes place, all the mom and pop sneaker stores too. And I'll never forget just counting how many Adidas sneakers I saw. And I was blown away. And this is 1991. And I was like, they really take this three stripes thing serious.
That is
So
crazy. That is
Oh,
crazy.
crazy,
sneak.
right?
That
And
is
this number
crazy.
one. This is
It's funny you say three stripes. You know, in my household, not my neighborhood, in my household, we was a four stripes.
wow.
I know you did.
Hey, you know what the four stripes are? That's the pay less best, baby.
Listen. And
Hey, listen, people better stop sleeping on Payless because back in the day, Payless started a lot of basketball careers.
absolutely. People sleep on them, man. Payless, again, we talk about Payless Tom McCann Bata shoes. We call it Bata. Like, that's the Caribbean. People say Bata. We would say Bata shoes. That's, or you go to Pueblo or Grand Union and you get the sneakers that had the little zip tie. So if you try them on the store, you do the duck walk down the aisle to make sure they fit. Like, yeah, man.
Hey, let me tell you guys my Payless story, right? So the Payless, they copied the weapons, right?
Yes.
So I go up in there, I buy me a pair, and on the outside of the shoe, they have the Pro Wings. They have the Pro Wings Payless logo.
Yes.
Now this when I started my creativity. I'm like, I'm finna go home, and on the inside, where it's just a blank mark, I drew me a Converse sign on both shoes, on inside of the shoe. Do you know my hood roasted my ass for all while I had them? I'm talking about, they was like, there was some damn Pro Wing fake ass Converse. Get your ass out of here. I mean, I took it on the chin too. I was like, shit, I'm still wearing them.
Hey, we had no other choice. What was you
Exactly.
Hey, right?
Yeah. Just rock it. Rock it.
Hey.
Yeah, that was it. That was what you had.
Yeah.
You used what you had.
Let's jump into the shoe business because there's so much going on. I mean, I'm saying to myself, how much more can these shoes cost? I mean, all of a sudden, all these as they call them, fakes are starting to look real good to people out there. I'm just saying,
it's crazy.
Hey,
They're coming out of the same factory, which is making the legit pair. Unfortunately, I mean, that's what's happened. I mean,
hey, they said the mold is already here.
Yeah, exactly.
We can do it. We can do it.
Yeah.
So what's your take on the state of the shoe industry right now?
Man, it's ever evolving, ever changing. Every day, I kind of, after I wake up and thank God and say my prayers and start digging into the news, I'm always amazed at what's happening. Like yesterday, I was totally caught by surprise by the sale and privatization, going private for Skechers, like that completely, and we're talking billions of dollars.
I'm gonna say they got a grip for that $9 billion.
They got some money.
I didn't even know Skechers was worth $9 billion.
Well, Skechers is the number 3 footwear company, in terms of sales in the United States, because think about it, they hit all demographics.
The price points.
Yeah, they do.
And
the price points. So they get, they get our baby boomers, our senior citizens, people like my parents and, grandparents even. And then they get all the way down to, the toddlers with the, Velcro sneakers, the light up sneakers, all that stuff. They get everything.
We do got to shout out Skechers because they are probably one of the major brands I've seen that reinvented themselves, because they failed with LA Gear, but when they changed the name,
man, that LA
I wonder
Gear,
what Snoop Dogg check looked like.
I know, right? Snoop is he's sitting pretty right now. He's like,
damn,
show me the money. I mean, we thought he was getting good money at the Olympics, but I think after yesterday, he's like, okay, yeah, he's getting ready for NBA All-Star 2026 in LA. So he's like,
and you know that before they made the announcement, he was already rolling the truck up to Snoop house.
Oh man, imagine getting that call of like, yo, Snoop, just so you know, next week on Cinco de Mayo, you're gonna hear. We're gonna tell you first. We're being bought. This is the number, and this is your cut. Oh, word!
And you know what that sound like? That sound like Nelly when he found out that ring investment took off. He's like, oh,
I like that. I like that news. Exactly. I love when when people win. I have no problem. I always say, man, I love to see other people win. With Snoop, I mean, he jumped around from different brands. People forget Snoop had to deal with Pony. Like he had he had a brand called Doggy Biscuits with Pony,
Remember?
and Pony,
Really?
product of New York, right? So Snoop's been, he's done some different stuff. He's done stuff with Adidas, but this when he landed this deal, and shout out to Martha, guess what? How did he get his deal? Martha
We already know. Martha Stewart.
Martha Stewart. She gave him the total ollie, and he was like, "Yep, let's go." Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hey, speaking of that, because I would always say, and I hated the Adidas Run DMC shoes because they were so flat.
Mm.
I just didn't like them because they were so flat. But who do you think out of the rappers had the best made shoe?
Specifically, rappers that had sneakers made for them.
Yes, and you better not say Birdman.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, shout out to Funk Flex and the Lugs, man. But now that you say that, I won't go there. So let me stop.
Yeah.
No, that's a really good question, because when I think of rappers who've had sneakers made, there's so many iconic sneakers that are used in rap, but I can't think of a good one. Like, what would be a good rapper sneaker?
See, I looked up the history of the rapper sneakers, and a lot of them just didn't look that good, man.
Everyone,
No, they didn't.
They bit off of something else. Like,
yeah,
exactly. You asked a really good question, because I've never been asked that question, but when I really sit and think about it, I'm drawing a blank. I'll be completely honest. I am drawing a blank. But there's so many iconic sneakers that athletes came out with first, or whatever, for whatever sport, that we latched onto in basketball, in football, in what, like, I think about the cross training sneakers, or like the Andre Agassi sneakers, right? That crossover. Bo Jackson, of course. Of even like Dan and Dave with Reebok, even though that whole marketing campaign was a failure at the Olympics and blah, blah, blah. But like, think about 96 Olympics in Atlanta. Michael Johnson, his gold spikes, right? We think about the Air Max 97 when they came up with that in gold. That was a game changer. Michael Jordan playing in the Alpha Force in the Garden back in the day, right?
Which I'm actually glad you brought up those names and those shoes, because this going back to my earlier question for you, like, when did the shoe game change?
Yeah.
And what I want to throw at you, I thought the shoe game changed when it made a real connection with the music.
Oh, absolutely.
Because
you're right.
Because when I think about, I didn't really want a shoe until I heard my Adidas.
Yep.
That made me say, like,
oh, yeah. So
we
you have
should
Adidas.
be rocking the.
Yeah. You have KRS-One. When you look at, the inside or the back cover of the LP for My Philosophy, and he's wearing Jordan 3s.
Yes.
Or the music video for My Philosophy. Again, him posted up on the Jeep. He's got his, his gear on, but he's wearing 3s. You look at whole BDP, Boogie Down Productions. You look at all the rappers, again, coming out of New York, or particularly the Northeast, right? But again, I'm in the Caribbean. I'm also paying attention to what's coming out of Chicago because of family there. My cousins introduced me to artists there. Music coming out of the South, particularly Louisiana, and what sneakers were big there: Reebok and K-Swiss, and K-Swiss classics, right? Like the 5 stripes,
Swiss, boy.
5 stripes.
That 5 stripes,
Right?
K-Swiss, babies.
Right? Like, or when you go to the West Coast, people were wearing Chucks, but Cortez. So Cortez. And what color was the stripe? Was it red or was it blue?
Blue, or
right?
white.
Again, which side are you? Which, depending on if you were Crenshaw, if you were Slauson, Compton, wherever you moved around, wherever you lived. Memphis, Tennessee, they were big on like boat shoes and like Sperry and Eastland and brands like that, right? Philly, Philly another, like Philly and the whole DMV area. I mean, you have, again, Nike, Reebok, but then you also have New Balance. Like, no one was wearing New Balance, like, cats in the DMV area. Like, they became
Yeah.
the kind of they kicked it off with New Balance. Not only the 990, but certainly 574, you name
Yeah.
it there.
That's
But
so
the
crazy
music,
that these shoes are regional like that. And
yeah,
speaking of the rappers, you all said this rapper. I'm gonna throw a rapper name at you. I actually thought his shoe, I wouldn't wear it, but I thought they did well.
mm,
Like Master P shoes did really well.
they did. They actually did. Yeah, they actually did. Surprisingly so. Before Adidas even bought Reebok, their music division at Reebok was what was carrying Reebok at the time. This is around
Time. Yep.
2003, 2004. They had Missy Elliott, they had Venus Williams, they had Common, they had Wheezy, eventually Lupe Fiasco. They had
Yeah.
I mean, their music entertainment, unbelievable. And then Adidas buys them. Germany comes in heavy-handed and basically shuts down the whole business. And guess what? The only reason Adidas wanted Reebok was to get licensing deals for uniforms for the NFL and the NBA.
One of my favorite NBA shoes I saw a lot of players wearing, the Avias.
Oh, man.
Oh man, the way the Avia soles was,
That
nobody was
cantilever.
doing soles like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Not only
Man.
that, they had great ankle support.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great ankle
Yes.
support. They didn't have that thin
Yeah.
upper. You know, it was.
Hey,
Matter of fact, Avia's in my top. That 89.
hey, and
Yeah,
they was
Avias,
all
but
true
AG
high top
forgot one
shoes.
shoe though. He forgot one shoe.
Which one?
Listen, if you're gonna go back there, you gotta
Right.
always throw the Worthy Express in there.
Look at
You
this
gotta-
dude,
I'm
man.
just
Look at this
saying,
guy,
you gotta
man.
throw
Look at this guy,
the-
man.
Hey, that's what we wore. The Worthy Express.
Worthy Express.
The New
I hear
Balance
you.
Worthy Express.
Did you like it,
What?
Will?
Oh,
Because
that was a great
the
basketball
tongue was
shoe.
long. Like remember, you could pull the tongue up, and it came all the way up past the
Listen,
shoe.
man, that was a great. But in terms of comfort, that was a great basketball shoe to hoop in. I want to ask you, man, what's in your
Mm.
closet right now? What are you rocking right now?
Lately, I've been wearing New Balance 580s. Those are like my go-tos just because I've got a big and a wide foot with that stabilizing bar. I overpronate, so again, it works for me.
Mm-hmm.
I have a pair of Air Max 1s that Sean, designed for me that I those are like my beaters. Those stay by the front door. Those are like my, if I gotta run to the grocery store real quickly, I literally
Yeah.
slip those on and I'm out the door. And then what else for me? New Balance, my Air Max 1s, a pair of Reebok Classics, just simple Reebok Classics, just white
You
with the
talking
gum,
about the white with the
white with the gum bottoms.
Woo.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a pair of Reebok Club C's as well that I've been wearing a lot. But I haven't been wearing any like high top or even mid top sneakers in a while. Like the one that I need to have them repaired because the sole is separating is my retro pair of 2001 Air Jordan 3s Black Cement. The sole, I can really go like this, pull the upper from the bottom. But yeah. I mean,
Hey,
again, things wear down.
Hey,
Speaking
D,
of
look,
that, man, I know things
look.
wear down. Go ahead, AG.
I'm because I'm helping my boy Will recuperate from his knee surgeries and ankle and Achilles and all that. I'm sending him a pair of Hokas.
Oh man, I have a pair of Hokas. I like them, but they're too soft for me. And again, I'm a big guy. They're too soft. I mean, I'm a big guy. I'm 6'4", 255. So they're too soft for me. So after I wear them, I realize after about an hour, my knee starts hurting, my left knee, which I've had problems way back when. So I need something with more of a firm, midsole for stability.
So, D, you got to help me with this, though, man.
Yeah.
When did Hoka blow up? Because I remember back in the day, Hoka used to almost be free.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I looked up at one point, they're like $150 gym shoes.
Yeah,
I'm like,
exactly.
when did that happen?
It changed when they decided that they wanted to go after the medical field professionals, people, doctors, nurses, and stuff like that, who were on their feet,
Yeah.
doing 12-hour shifts in the hospitals and clinics and stuff like that. And again, depending on how your height, your weight, all that, it works. Like I to this day, I see a lot of health professionals wearing it. God bless them. I see Hoka, I see On, but the other ones I've been seeing are this new wave of Crocs, sneaker Crocs that they just came out with. Like, but Hoka got their big push because marketing and PR decided to go after the healthcare professionals.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah. Which,
All right, let's jump into this new technology, man, because you've been around this shoe
Yeah.
game for a long time. Do you like it or not? I'm not sure
Fly
about it.
knit,
fly knit and stuff
fly
like that.
wire.
Again, that doesn't appeal to me. I mean, I appreciate it. I know what it's supposed to do. The price point is good for the company in terms of them making more money from it because they're quicker, easier to make, they're lighter to ship. Put on a cargo ship and get over here from China, Vietnam. But that's not a sneaker for me. I've tried some of them. Not a big fan of them. They're just too loose for me. Like, it's supposed to be easier to clean, easier to protect by adding sprays and other chemicals to keep it so that it doesn't get as dirty. But again, all of this doesn't benefit us, right? It doesn't benefit us, the consumer. It really benefits the manufacturer, the company, the sneaker brands, because they figured out how to lower the quality while increasing the price.
Price. Wow.
Supply and demand too, right? They say something's limited edition. What happens to us? It used to be, that whole FOMO, fear of missing out. Oh, we got to have it. It's limited edition. Now it's gone from just FOMO to now it's, it's proof of missing out because we go on Instagram and we can see, oh,
See,
AG's got that sneaker. Now I want that sneaker. Gates has got that. I like, right?
yeah.
Because of social
Right.
media. Like
Because you
we
see it all
buy,
the time. They post, what is the post called? Got him.
got him, right?
You know what's funny? It's crazy though. That was the term we used in basketball.
Exactly.
If you laid up on a dude, you was like, got him.
Got him. Or you hit that, you drained it, and you just sit there, you hold it. Got him. Yeah. That was the
Yes.
thing. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what I want to touch you about, man, real quickly. Is now I see that, and I think Nike's done a very, very great job at this, more than probably any other gym shoe company out there. Where Nike, to me, is not really a gym shoe company; they really are a marketing company. Like I can imagine, I can imagine their marketing budget just has to be like off the chain. Everything is a storyline. You never see, once they're done with something, it's over. Like I ain't heard just do it. Once that campaign was over, it's over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're bringing it back now. They're bringing it back.
But I'm just,
Yeah.
I was gonna say even with the retros they bring it back. I'm looking at, even though they might be saying just do it, but the new name is it's and I think Nike's just great at this, reimagine. It's like, what? It's like,
But
Reimagine.
Nike, people do forget and think Nike is a athletic footwear company. They're not. They build themselves as, they have no problem in saying this. You look at all their corporate materials, documents. They are a marketing company. That's their thing. They're good at storytelling. They're good at marketing. They've forgotten how to do that because they drank their own Kool-Aid and they got high on their own supply and took they lost their focus. And now they're trying to recapture that. But because of social media, it's harder for them to recapture. Yeah, they're still number one, and they will be, but their numbers are down. People are consumers don't want to look like they're wearing a uniform. And you look at all the Panda Dunks that are sitting now and being discounted at all the stores because people are not paying attention to, like you said earlier, Asics, New Balance, Hoka, On, Saucony, and brands that have put, like basically saying, we have a place at the table too. Nike, yeah, you may be number one, but consumers, we change our mind every 10 seconds. So dudes are, the younger kids now are wearing Asics Gel Light, threes and, They're wearing the Nimbus, and they're wearing Saucony, J Tips collabs, and all this other stuff.
Do you
Man, when
think
your
that's
boy,
because of the shoe,
yeah,
or is it we're no longer identifying with the person in the shoe?
That's a good question, because it used to be we identify with the person wearing the shoe. Now people don't aspire to be like that athlete anymore, especially, unfortunately, athletes who keep getting themselves in trouble. All that is really important nowadays. So things have changed. The sneaker culture and the world of footwear have changed drastically.
Let me ask you this, man. In terms of the shoe game, do you think it's advantageous for these shoe companies to jump on this women movement? Because you got Asia with her, that is just like, cause I'm saying, you're saying they need something. Is this the next move for them
Absolutely.
to heavily invest in the women's game?
Women, female, athletes have been on the back burner too long. Just like even in the footwear, design world, footwear designers, there needs to be more women in these companies working and designing footwear for women by women. Like I look at AJ Wilson's sneaker, I'm like, it took too long, but that's because, people like Candace Parker over at Adidas had to do what she did. People like Cheryl Swoops had to do what she did. People like Dawn Staley, right? So the female market is going to grow by leaps and bounds over the next 3 to 4 years. We're going to see more sneakers. I mean, you see what New Balance is doing with Coco Gauff. We see what Nike's doing with AJ Wilson, as well as Naomi Osaka. Great stuff. I'm looking now for more of those, and we're seeing it from Wilson a little bit, how to go from casual to sport, that crossover. So like a slide or even a recovery shoe, right? Or something be worn before as a warm-up shoe before you actually put on your actual cleats. Maybe you're playing football, aka soccer, or we're seeing with women's WNBA sports. I love what's going on there. I hope to see more.
Well, what you're calling shoe has been phenomenal. It was actually the second highest worn shoe in the NBA all last year, and that was Sabrina's shoe.
Sabrina's shoe. But Sabrina's shoe is great, but what is it? It's a Kobe.
It's a Kobe. It's a Kobe.
It's a Kobe.
Absolutely.
It's a Kobe shoe.
Absolutely, it's a Kobe.
Yep.
No, and that's what I wanted to ask you. Will the women's shoes, whether it's been Nike, Adidas, whoever they are, they even with Under Armour, they've just changed the color.
Yeah.
And and said these are women's sizes only. Like, right. Jordan got the baby blues coming out in the 4s.
Yep.
But they're only women's sizes.
Yep.
But that don't make it a woman's shoe.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
A
woman's foot is shaped differently than a man's foot. The only company that's really paying attention to that, because I haven't seen Wilson's sneaker. I haven't seen her sneaker yet, but Adidas is definitely, with Candace at the helm of Adidas basketball, particularly in their women's division, that last is made in the mold of a woman's foot. Again, it's different. Like I just saw some of the the sneakers, the different colorways. There's a lot of guys that are gonna buy that sneaker. A lot of guys.
Well, 6 and Asia shoe dropped today, man, and they said it already sold out. First of all, I ain't gonna even trip, but those Vince Carters, I got them downstairs still in the box.
Yep.
You better stop it.
I got the N1 Tachis, same color, in the box.
The red and white ones.
The red and white ones, brand new, never worn.
Never touched the floor.
Never touched the floor. Never touched the floor.
Damn.
Let me tell you something. Them for a minute, One
had it on lock.
They did it. Vince just helped it go to the next level.
Absolutely.
But you talk about something that they had a great brand, but their price point was amazing. You could go in there, which by the way, man, speaking of price point, I just got to shout out this dude. Stephon Marbury. Man, listen, he don't know. I'm going to give him, and I'm also, I got to give the big fella some love too, man.
Shaq.
Got to give Shaq some love, man. Listen, in terms of just making great quality, affordable shoes, and I know a lot of people are like, man, I ain't putting them Shaqs on, but listen, I can't tell you, because I'm just saying, Payless is gone. We ain't got that no more. But there's still families that need,
Exactly.
because if I'm a mom and a dad, I ain't finna, like when I see some of these little kids out here with $300-$400 shoes on, or even $200 shoes, I'm like, for a week, because they foot growing.
Yes, out of there.
Wore the shoe for the party and they can't put them back on after the party. Well, hey, Doc, listen, man, before we get you up out of here, man, what is, write down your top 5 shoes of all time?
Wow. My number 1, Air Jordan 7 Bordeaux. Still have it here sitting. New Balance 574. Simple colorway, whatever, be gray and white. My Levi's New Balance collab, MT 580s. My SOLEcial Studies designed by Sean Paper Chaser Williams, Air Max 1s, just because they're different, unique, special.
Mm-hmm.
And then my Reebok Classics. I'm simple with it. It's got something that
You got to send us a photo of those, man. You got to send us a picture of those, man. We got to get a picture of those.
Hey, hold on. You said Reebok Classics. You ain't talking about them Reebok aerobic shoes, which
yes,
with
he
the little
is.
dots in the no, he talking about the ones that
No,
he talking about the one with the
one.
No. Reebok Classic workouts with the gum bottom. I'll send you a photo of them.
That's only one, okay. AG. There's only one Reebok Classic.
But the toe is shaped like a diamond, right? Isn't it shaped like a?
It's shaped like a. Yeah, it's pointed. It's kind of. It's not as.
Yeah, it's pointed.
Yeah.
Right. That's the one. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Catch.
Yep.
There you go.
That's the reason they call them classic.
Yep.
You know what? I ain't gonna trip him, but I just gotta say this about them Reebok Classics back in the day. You used to be able to get them from J.C. Penney, man.
Exactly. J.C. Penney. Yep. You can catch them sometimes too. Buy one, get one.
Yes.
Yep.
Listen, Doc, man, that's so many things, man. We could talk about
Absolutely.
about the shoot game. Appreciate you being on the show. Tell folks, man, how they can find you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure. I could sit here for hours and we can chop it up and go down more about the culture. But Dee Wells, OSD, on every social media platform, Instagram, Twitter, X, TikTok, man. Please check out SOLEcialStudies.com, which is Social Studies, SOLECIAL. It's our community academy located in Brooklyn, New York, but also expanding into Texas and elsewhere. We consult. We really want to encourage more and more people, especially young folks. Don't just be a consumer. Don't be afraid to be a creator. Learn the business, get in where you fit in, learn, grow, and change the world.
I love that, man. Learn, grow, and change the world.